Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Love Harmony. Thank you for coming back, or if it's your first time here, thank you for being here. I am really excited to record this video today. I am going to be sharing some really personal stuff with you, and I am just really feeling into this kind of new practice of mine of being totally authentic when I record my videos. So I just honestly just want to be myself. I don't want to put on an act. I'm not going to put on a filter or anything like that. I just want to be myself. So thank you for being in this space with me and allowing me to do that. All right. So today, I want to talk about how to have a glow up in your 30s, or honestly, really any time. This isn't just for people in their 30s. I'm just calling it that because honestly, it was when I was in my 30s that I did this, and I'm in my 30s now. I'm 35 years old. I'll be 36 this year. And I want to tell you a bit about my experience and how I initiated this glow up, okay? And basically changed my entire life for the better. So, if you are in your 30s or above, or even your 20s, it doesn't matter. If you're feeling stuck, uninspired, if you're just wondering if it's too late to change your life, I know that feeling. This video is for you. So today I'm going to share my reinvention story, how I glowed up in my 30s, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, this story is not about just aesthetics or about overnight success. This is truly how I healed myself and I continue to heal myself from the core, from the inside out. And in my opinion, that is what a true glow up is. It's when you go through healing and everyone can see it. So, if you're ready for a change, let's talk about how to have a glow up for real, for real. Let me start by taking you back. I want to tell you a little bit about where I've been so that I can tell you how I got to where I am now. In my early 20s, I was doing everything right. I graduated college from Virginia Tech. I got a job lined up at a recruitment agency before I even graduated. So once I graduated Virginia Tech, I drove across the US to California, where I moved in with my sister, and I started my first ever job. Well, my first ever corporate job. I had many jobs when I was a teenager. In the recruitment world and at this first job, I climbed the ladder fast. Basically, I got promoted within, I think it was a year and a half. I ended up moving down to San Diego for a promotion because I was originally living in Sacramento. Sorry, I didn't mention that. I moved down to San Diego for a promotion, and basically I was doing very well. And I eventually left that company and got hired at a huge biotech company where I was almost making six figures. So I was making very good money. I moved into this high-rise apartment in downtown San Diego. I was single. It was just me and my cat. I was a cat lady. I was living the life near the beach in a beautiful city with the world at my fingertips. That's what it sounds like it would be like, right? That sounds really good. Well, it wasn't. I was absolutely miserable. And I could not figure out why I was not happy. I think this is a pretty common story. You hear about this a lot with people who are just realizing like the 9-to-5 world or whatever life they're living isn't a good fit when everything says that it should be, or everyone tells me that it should be. So why am I not happy? I was in that headspace because I was chasing validation. I was chasing money, very much so. And I ended up getting myself into debt financially, emotionally, spiritually. I was just not in a very good place. And it had nothing to do with the companies that I was working for. It was honestly because I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't doing things for the right reasons. I wasn't listening to my heart. I didn't even know what I wanted. I was just chasing the money. Eventually, I became so unhappy that I broke. I decided I have to make a change. I had to be my own superwoman. So I quit my job. I moved to Thailand to teach English to kindergartners, where I was making close to nothing per month. So I went from almost a six-figure job to making pretty much nothing. And I had never even left the country before. So fast forward to teaching in Thailand. It was the best decision I had ever made and still stands as one of the best decisions I've ever made to this day. I was so happy. I was so full of joy every day. I love kids, so I was just having the time of my life. I couldn't believe I was getting paid to do this. I was making friends. I was thriving. It felt like for the first time in my life, this is what life is supposed to be. This is what happiness is. I was surrounded by beauty. I was living in the middle of Thailand in this really tiny town called Phetchabun. And there were beautiful mountains and waterfalls and just so much beauty. You really got ingrained into the Thai culture because not a lot of people there spoke English besides the actual English teachers who I worked with. So I was able to make friends with other foreigners while also getting really ingrained into the Thai culture. Well, then I was there for only a month and I met my now previous partner who was living in the Netherlands. So I ended up moving to the Netherlands to give things a shot in that relationship. And this is where I went into my second spiral. This led me to move to the Netherlands for the next chapter of my life. Now, this was 2017, but that's where things spiraled again. Despite being in love at that time and in a really good relationship, I found myself in this very, very small town in the Netherlands. And I always felt like I didn't belong. Everyone spoke Dutch. I was trying to learn how to speak Dutch, but I wasn't fully committed and I found it really difficult. And so I essentially felt like a black sheep. And it was funny because actually it was a kind of a farmer town, very, very small town. And so there were sheep everywhere. And every time I saw a black sheep, I would think about myself in the town. I felt very isolated during this time. Now, I don't want to make it all negative. I actually had some amazing moments in the Netherlands. My relationship itself was an amazing relationship with an incredible person who I'm still friends with to this day. But the issue was within myself. I felt isolated, and instead of working through that and healing these feelings that I was having, I continued to self-isolate and then began coping with alcohol. And when I say coping, I mean daily drinking. I began drinking, if not a bottle, sometimes two bottles of wine every single day. I did this for over 4 years. I was numbing myself. I was surviving. This is how I was coping with not feeling fully expressed. And there was nothing wrong with the town that I was living in. I was surrounded by incredible, nice people. It was me. It was just that it wasn't the environment that I thrive in. I needed more freedom. I needed nature. I needed to spread my wings. And it felt very difficult for me to do it in this place. I was also gaining weight. I was feeling more disconnected than ever, and I was losing my sense of self. And when you do that for a long period of time, like 4 years, you forget who you are. You start to forget where you came from. You start to forget what it feels like to be in a really good place, to be really happy and fulfilled and free and just living from the heart. You don't remember anymore what that feels like. And so that became my new normal. And I was used to feeling that way. And this didn't happen overnight. It happened gradually over this period of 4 years. But the alcohol was definitely a coping mechanism that was consistent throughout the whole experience. Then came 2021. During the pandemic, I could not stop thinking about Thailand. I missed the person I was there. I missed how alive I felt. So I made another very bold move. I packed my bags. I grabbed my cat Duncan. who I had gotten from the US in 2018. I took him to the Netherlands eventually, not when I first moved to Thailand, but then when I got to the Netherlands, I went back to California. He was staying with my sister, and I got my cat Duncan, and I returned to Thailand. And that is when the real glow up began. But don't get it twisted. I did not leave everything behind. I brought my problems with me, including my alcohol addiction. It is really difficult to change your life just by changing your environment. Usually, there's a lot of other work that goes into it. And sometimes when you change your environment, it just makes it easier. So basically, when I moved to Thailand, I brought the alcohol addiction with me. And that is when the real inner work began. Not right away. I was partying for a good year. My first year that I was here during the pandemic, I was partying like crazy because we were allowed to in Thailand. Now, let's talk about the 5 steps that changed my life. Number 1, introspection. When I was finally alone, in stillness, I was single, I realized in the quiet that I needed to heal. And that healing starts with awareness. Even if you're busy, you're married, you have kids, you have a crazy work schedule, I get that a lot of you watching this probably do have lives like that. Maybe not. Maybe you do have more free time. But no matter what your circumstances are, find time for yourself. Even if it's just waking up 20 minutes earlier and taking 10 minutes to meditate, to read a book, like something that you actually want to read, not that you have to read. Just taking any time for yourself, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, just being conscious about it and making it a priority. That is the very first step. Meditate, journal, reflect, read books that feed your soul. Introspection is where the answers to growth live. And number 2, micro behavioral changes. So I did not go cold turkey with alcohol. I started slowly drinking less. I shifted one habit at a time. So I went from waking up at 10 a.m. to 9 a.m., then to 8:30 a.m., and eventually now, 4 years later, I am usually up between 5:30 and 6 every morning. Not so much on the weekends, but Monday through Friday. I used to think that I wasn't a morning person, but it turns out I just wasn't a fulfilled person, because when you feel fulfilled, it really doesn't matter if you're a morning person or not. You want to get up. You're excited to start the day. And I know what it feels like when you're not, when you feel so depressed, when every day you wake up and you just want to keep sleeping. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't feel like doing anything. You're not excited. I know what that feels like. My point is, start by making these micro changes, whether it's maybe eating just slightly healthier than you are now, maybe adding something to your fitness routine if you have one. If you don't have one, maybe starting small. Like, you know what? I'm just going to go on a walk once a day for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. These small changes are actually where the big changes in yourself lie. Number 3, routine and structure. In order to have a glow up, you need rhythm in your life. Chaos might feel exciting, I know, but it doesn't sustain you. So, about 4 years ago now, I built a routine. I did morning meditation, then I went to the gym, then I was always, not always, but I started eating nourishing food. So I generally go for mostly vegan food, but I also eat meat on occasion. And after that routine was done, I would then start my work for the day, which was my money maker. But I also found some time for creative stuff on the side, whether it was reading or drawing, things like that. Structure gives your glow up a solid foundation, but it doesn't all have to be rigid. Definitely leave time for play. So, like for me, on the weekends now, I do not have a structure. I do not set an alarm. I wake up at whatever time I want, and I essentially like to float through the days on Saturdays and Sundays, unless I have plans with a friend, for example. But if I don't, I just like to float through. Like I will still go to the gym because I really enjoy it and I love the way it makes me feel. But I don't have set times for things. I don't have things don't need to be done in a certain order. And I love having that flexibility. So I still highly recommend give yourself play, give yourself freedom, but also have a routine, because I think a lot of times we fall out of routine and that's when we start falling into bad habits, which they don't even have to be bad, but just habits that aren't serving us, habits that are not contributing to our growth. So if you want to initiate a real glow up, take a good hard look at your habits. Number 4 is mindset. This is everything, okay? I know you've heard this before. You want to start by just looking at your thoughts, just paying attention to them. Ask yourself, is this thought that I just had positive, negative, or neutral? This is something that I started doing recently. And I realized that most of my thoughts weren't even negative. Most of my thoughts were neutral. And so, for example, like if I was going to the gym, I'd be like, okay, going to the gym because it's part of my routine, instead of flipping it and thinking, wow, I'm so grateful that I can ride my motorbike in this beautiful weather and go to the gym and do something that's going to make me feel good. Do you see the difference? Before, I wasn't intentionally cultivating positive thoughts. So I started to shift. Every time I caught a negative spiral, I would pause and I would ask myself, what's another way to look at this? How can I reword this thought or this image in my mind? Because sometimes whenever we have thoughts, it's images. I mean, they come in many different forms. How can I reimagine this thought in a more positive light? And I'm not talking about in a fake toxic positivity way that you often see online and stuff like that, where people are like, oh, everything's great. Life is perfect. Just think positive. It's not that easy. Honestly, it's really not. You have to literally rewire your brain, but it is absolutely possible. It does take time because basically you're breaking the old pathways and you're creating new pathways in your brain, so that whenever you think about something that maybe brings you negativity or even just like neutral thoughts, you just become aware of it first, and then that's when you're able to start having it happen naturally, because you start practicing it and then you will naturally start thinking about things more positively. It's just a habit. It's a habit, literally. The thing is that the mindset is everything. So your entire world is based on your mindset. How you view the world and how the world responds to you is all based on how you are perceiving it, on the energy that you are putting out to the world because of how you're seeing the world. Now, I want to share a book that changed everything for me. This book is called Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zealand. It helped me understand how my thoughts were literally shaping my reality. So I actually just started reading this book. So this is a very recent discovery. And this was already work. I was already working on this exact thing. But I think the reason that I love this book is that it explains why. So, my thoughts are shaping my reality. Okay, but what does that actually mean? And how? How are my thoughts shaping my reality? How are my thoughts determining how the world responds to me? Like, what is this mirror? Like, I don't understand. That's how I felt for, honestly, my whole adulthood. Ever since I've been hearing about, change your thoughts, change your reality, I'm like, yeah, but how does that actually work? So this book actually explains it. So I highly recommend this book. Maybe it's not for you. It is a mix of quantum physics and spirituality, I would say. So it might not be your cup of tea, but it might. So I would give it a shot, and you can even find it online in PDF format. So the bottom line is when you change your mindset, the world responds to you. If you want to have a glow up, probably the most important thing that you can do is to improve your mindset. Because when you improve your mindset, everything else comes after that. I dyed my hair blue because I spent so much time on my own self-love and building my self-love and improving my mindset that I finally did something. I had thought about dyeing my hair blue for more than 5 years. I wanted to do it. Every time I thought about it, I was like, I can't do that. That's like such a big thing. For so many reasons. Like I would think about it and I would imagine and dream about it. And then finally, I had done so much work on myself and self-love that when I thought about it one day, I was like, why am I waiting to do something that I so clearly want to do? My heart is pulling me in that direction. And even though it might seem like such a simple thing, just an aesthetic, it's more about being free. So the blue hair for me is being free and being authentic and expressing myself in whatever way I want without worrying about what anyone else thinks. Now, if someone compliments me, of course I accept it and I really appreciate it, honestly. Like I love it when people are like, I love your blue hair. I'm like, thank you. But honestly, if someone doesn't like it, or they're like, that's weird, it's okay. Like it honestly, I don't care. And not in a negative way, like, I don't care what you think. It's just like, it doesn't matter. And it's okay. They can have their opinion about it. You might be watching this right now. You might be like, I hate her blue hair. It's okay. It's really okay. It doesn't offend me at all because it's not about anyone else. My blue hair is about me and what I like. And I love it. I feel so free and so expressed and just, yeah, fully expressed. So that's an example. You change your mindset, the world responds. Number 5, consume less, create more. Consume less, create more. What do I mean by that? This is a secret that most people overlook, or they don't even know that this exists. They've never even thought about it. So basically, ask yourself, am I consuming more than I'm creating on a daily basis? Day in and day out, how are you spending your time? Let me give you some examples, okay? Scrolling on social media or just being on your phone in general, you're consuming. Unless you are, I don't know, doing something productive on your phone, which you very well could be. Let's say you're just scrolling on social media. This is consuming, okay? Reading emails without taking action. Let's say you're doing that for work. You started your workday, you open your laptop, you're going through emails. You're not answering, you're just going through emails. You're consuming. Binge watching Netflix or Hulu or Apple TV or whatever else you like. I am a huge advocate. I love binge watching series. I love it. I love escapism within films and series, basically. But that is consuming, okay? Going to the gym, you're producing energy. You're creating a better you. You're going and you are building something. That is producing, or I say creating. So you have consuming or producing / creating. I like creating. I like that word better. Let's say you're writing, building, designing something. Maybe it could be for work or for yourself. Let's say you're journaling or you're meditating in the morning or you're having these thoughts or slowing down your thoughts. This is creating, producing. You are not consuming when you are doing that. When you're writing in a journal, you're creating. Lastly, working on yourself. These are all just examples. Working on yourself, creating a better you, you're creating or producing. Okay? So I hope this makes sense. So I am not saying that consumption is bad. We need consumption. But if you are consuming during your day in and day out, if you are consuming, let's say 90% of the time, and you're only producing 10% of the time, you will feel stuck. Guaranteed, you will feel depressed. If you are playing video games 8 hours a day, eating, which is also consuming, let's say you're just eating and playing video games and you're not doing anything else, if you do that for a long period of time, you will probably feel depressed. I'm not saying for sure, not everyone is the same, but it is our human nature to want to create. We want to create things. We don't want to just consume. And so we need consumption, but basically the golden rule for having a glow up is create more than you consume. Okay? So throughout the day, you want to be doing activities where you are creating or producing more than you are consuming. Or at the very least, have it balanced half and half. How do you glow up in your 30s? You stop waiting. You stop numbing. You stop settling. And you start choosing yourself, one small choice at a time. This video, this advice, it's not meant to overwhelm you, and it still might, and that's okay. It's not meant to overwhelm you. It's the little things. Just make a small change. If you feel like, you know what, I'm so tired of living this way, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Make one small change. Do one thing for yourself. A really good, easy thing to do is start meditating. It might not be your cup of tea, and that's okay, but that's something that you can do. It's free. You can do it at home. You can do it, well, I don't want to say anywhere, but you can do it at home. You can do it pretty much anywhere. Your glow up isn't just about glowing from the outside. I know a lot of people want that. They want to look like they've glowed up, right? Or glown up. I don't know which one it is. This is about reigniting your joy, your creativity, your clarity, and your self-worth. And there's a lot of deep self-work that goes into that. But the things that you can do today are what I've talked about in this video, making these small baby steps, small micro changes, and which create habits. And I'm telling you, you do it for long enough. I am a perfect prime example of someone that you can see. I was very overweight, very unhealthy, and even more so, not just on the outside, I was very unhealthy in my mind, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I was very disconnected from myself. And I am telling you, this works. And although, there's not one prescription that works for everyone, I do really believe in these 5 actions that can really help to initiate a glow up. Because you heal yourself internally, you are going to glow. You are going to glow and you are going to shine so bright. And everyone's going to be asking what you're doing. What are you doing? You seem so good. How's life? They want to know. What are you doing? Because they want it too. They want it too. And last but not least, I just want to say that you can reinvent yourself as many times as you need. It does not matter what your age is. There is no limit. And your 30s, they're not too late. Your 40s, it's not too late. Your 50s, your 60s, it's not too late. You can reinvent yourself anytime. Anytime. And those of you who are younger in your teenage years, in your 20s, you're just getting started. And if you can put some of these practices into practice now, you will be so ahead of the curve. I'm excited for your journey. Thank you for stopping by. I hope this was helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you do to make yourself the best version of yourself? Take care. Have a great night wherever you are in the world, or a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Love, Harmony.